Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest in exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Motorhead Garage is presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
Well, if you're a regular viewer of Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, you know we love showing off great-looking vehicles, and this is one great-looking vehicle, this Chevy Tahoe. But it's not just any Tahoe. Check this out. My goodness, 150,000 watts worth of stereo equipment in here, Jonathan. And I got to ask you one question. Why?
Why? So the reason for this is because I have one of the biggest companies in distributing car audio products in the United States, and I take this to shows and wow people with it. Like, they get in there and they experience a system of this magnitude, and it just blows them away. So that is why it gets them hooked on car audio, and then they look for where to get it from. And where else than down for sound.
Let's talk about this vehicle. What powers this?
So in this vehicle we have 5 Mechman alternators, and from there it's transferred back to the back where we have a 1200 amp hour lithium bank from excess power, and from there it goes to the amplifiers, which are all down for sound. So we have 9 JP83 amplifiers on the subwoofers, and then we have 7 JP234 amplifiers on the mids and highs that you see in the doors, which are the down for sound brand of mids and highs. And then we have 9 Sundown Audio custom Neo-Team subwoofers in there that create a lot of pressure, a lot of wind. So it's very awesome when people get in there and experience it.
No doubt. And Down for Sound, your name is on a lot of these. You manufacture these speakers and some other equipment as well. How important is quality to you when you're manufacturing these?
What I stand behind with the Down for Sound name brand is offering a great quality product at a very fair price.
You've always teamed up with a lot of other companies. How does that collaboration work when you're making Down for Sound products?
Yeah, so for instance, with our mids and highs that we do, we collaborate with a Russian brand called Def Once, and they've been doing this for many years, like 10 to 15 years. I teamed up with them and we came out with our first set of mids and highs, and everybody was blown away by it. They're like, man, these are great. How'd you do that? Like, well, you team up with somebody with a ton of knowledge in that space and that have already went through all the trials and tribulations of messing it up over the years, and then they perfect it, and they're kind of like, here you go. I'm like, awesome. So it's a win-win for both parties.
Downforsound.com has a huge array of just about anything an audiophile is going to want. You have a lot under the Down for Sound name, and then the other products you offer. How do you vet those? How do you ensure that folks are getting the best of what's out there?
Right, so we offer a ton of different brands, and that's how Down for Sound started, was a ton of different brands that we were offering that other people offered. We were just selling them on our website, and people started asking if we were gonna have our own name brand of products. So we started to come out with our household name brand of products. But with other companies, we went through a lot of people that sometimes they start out with good quality and then they kind of peter out and they're not so good anymore, so we end up having to move away from them. But we always try to watch, like if people start asking for a brand, I start paying attention to them and kind of see how they're taking care of their customers online. If people are having issues, that's one thing. Are they getting taken care of? That's another thing. Like, what are people saying before we jump into that? And then that's how we kind of move forward through, like, noticing a brand to thinking about taking on a brand under the Down for Sound name, and then actually picking it up and like selling it on our website.
We talked a little bit before we got on the air here, and now I'm hearing you talk about listening to other folks. And how important is it to get their feedback and to deliver what folks really want and need?
Oh, it's everything, and that's how we have constantly expanded our offering on the Down for Sound name brand. Say we started out with the mids and highs, and then somebody asked, are you going to have sound deadener? Like, I wish you had some good sound deadener under the Down for Sound name brand. So we started doing homework on that, and then we offer that, and then the next thing you know, people are asking for amplifiers or wire or all these things. So it's crucial. It's absolutely crucial to listen to what your customer base is asking for, and fan base. Like, I have a big following or whatever, so try to listen to both of them and move forward in the best way possible.
Well, if you folks are wondering what sound like this can do, well, check out the windshield. It's a polycarbonate windshield, and it didn't survive the last test these guys did. Just listen to this. Check this out. We can go anywhere from mild to wild with Down for Sound. They have everything you need if you're an audiophile, and you can go extreme just like they did as well. They can help you out. Again, find them at downforsound.com. We'll be right back with more great products and more cool stuff for your vehicle when we come back to Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. See you.
Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, is brought to you by RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need. BrothersTrucks.com, your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration. Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever. AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. And by Oil Undercoating, the official oil-based rust prevention system.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. You know, their motto is, if it's worth keeping, it's worth protecting. And I tell you what, here is a truck that was worth keeping. It's a mid-80s Chevy C10 pickup truck, the square body that everybody loves. They're more and more popular all the time. Dave Welch is here for Brothers Trucks. And Dave, Brothers has everything for trucks from, what, 1947
all the way up to 87.
Up to 87. So just about everything we need. And here we're talking about the long bed that came on this truck. It looked cool when it came into the studio, but a lot of folks these days love the short bed. Why is that?
You know, I don't know. I just don't know.
Styles change.
Yeah.
And so they have here now, and everybody wants the short bed look. So traditionally, what is it like to change the length of a bed on a truck?
In the past, there was a lot of different ways of doing it, but they were more complicated. Different versions would take cabs off. And so what we wanted to do is make it simple. And simplicity really should be what this kit is called, because this makes it easy. We don't have to guess what we're doing. We don't have to measure what we're doing once or twice. All we got to do is put the metal, not plastic, not paper, metal template up on there.
Well, let's talk about this long bed to short bed conversion kit from Brothers Trucks. First of all, we got to take off the old bed.
Right.
Then we took off the long bed. How complicated is that?
Usually it's not that big of a deal, but I swear there's always one thing still stuck on there. So when you take out all your bolts, get 4 people, not 2, get 4 people, take off your tires, and then just lift it up a couple inches, because I guarantee you there's something still connected, a ground strap or whatever weird thing somebody might have put on over the years. So then you find that last thing, put it back down, take it off. Now you can take your bed off and get rocking and rolling.
As we've said before, take your time.
Right.
You got it. So what's next?
Well, you want to make sure that the truck is safe, it's chalked, the wheels, that's nice and level, because you're constantly checking to make sure that everything's level throughout the build when you're bolting it together, before you weld it up, after you welded everything, because of course level is what you need.
And we had to start taking lines off?
Yeah, if you take off everything that's in your way, you got your drive shaft, you got your exhaust, you got fuel lines, brake lines, wires, and anything else somebody might have stuck in over the years. So you get all that out of the way, you clean up the frame, then you can go ahead and put the template on there. You don't have to worry about rust or anything being in your way. And a lot of times what happens is some of the holes will already line up. Doesn't always happen, but even if it does or it doesn't, it really doesn't matter. All I need to do is make sure that it is on there, and I just snug it up against the front little rivets that are in there if I don't have any holes that line up. But it really doesn't matter. You can stick it anywhere within that gap and cut it all up, and it's going to be fine.
And what range of trucks are we talking for the template?
We make these for 67 to 72 and the 73 to 87, GMC and Chevy, of course. There's a few exclusions when you get into these late 70s, 80s. They had some 1 tons and things that came with different frames, but they were so rare that it didn't make sense to make the kit for that.
So the template is fantastic.
Fantastic.
It helps you make all the cuts you need to make at the front, first of all.
Right. So all I'm going to do is just put it on. I'm going to drill out my #1 holes. Then I'll go ahead and bolt those on. So this way my plate's not shifting around on me. When I'm drilling out my holes, make sure that they are absolutely straight as possible. So we're going to use an 1/8" drill bit, and we'll drill through the holes first. We got a nice pilot. Then we'll finish it off with a 7/16. Once we've got all that done, then we can go ahead and start cutting. When I cut, I like to cut the bottom first, because if you cut everything on the top, then you got all this dirt on the ground that you're going to have to lay in. So I'll cut the bottom, but I won't cut it completely. If I cut it completely, then it can start separating and it can make it more difficult when I'm doing the rest of my cuts. So I'll leave just a little bit on the bottom. I'll cut up my sides here. You can use a Sawzall on this, but I prefer the die grinder you saw me use, because what I can do with it is I can go up and down in the groove, making sure it's nice and straight. If I'm just doing a singular cut like I might be doing with a Sawzall, it's kind of easier to get off it a little bit. So all we got to do is we get it on, we bolt it up, we cut off everything. Now this center section is going to fall out, and we don't want to get rid of it though, because we still got another little template on here, and this is for your bumper bolts. It shows you how much to cut off the back end of the frame. It shows you where the hole is going to go for this bolt right here, and it shows you where the bumper bolt holes are going to be.
Once you get the short bed on, that shortens the length of the truck, so all the old stuff's not going to fit.
Right.
Well, how does Brothers help me out there?
Well, some of the kits will be a little bit different because of different necessities, but you'll get emergency brake line shortening kit, you'll get a fuel line, you'll get a brake line if it's pertinent, and then you'll need to shorten your drive shaft and your exhaust yourself. That's not a kit for.
And in this case, a different fuel tank as well.
Right, yeah, you will need to get that shorter fuel tank.
Gotcha. Well, Brothers Trucks sends us everything we need, including the sheet metal here.
Yeah, the quality of this stuff is outlandish these days. I've been doing this a long time. Everything on this bed is brand new. Not one old piece on it. Everything's brand new. You can almost build a complete truck with the sheet metal they have these days.
I know we've glossed over this whole process with shortening the bed, but what if folks want to buy the kit and then want to see detailed instructions on how to do the whole thing?
Right, so what they're going to want to do is go to Brothers Trucks YouTube channel. We've got how to shorten down your beds, how to do rust repair, how to install glass, odd little things on your locks, and just millions of different videos on how to get your truck back on the road.
If you have a classic Chevy or GMC truck, you need to go to brotherstrucks.com. They have everything you need. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. We're going to keep on trucking.
Dragonfire Tools, quality affordable storage. Proud sponsor of our DragonfireTools.com studio. Time now for the lowdown with Magic Creeper.
Here on Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, we have a lot of esteemed guests, and one of them was Gary Dean. Now, he was in here showing off his line of car care products, his signature's right there, including Detailed Juice and lots of others. And I thought, well, here's a guy that works on cars every day detailing. He's a professional's professional, and he's always working on a car. And I thought, this guy could use a Magic Creeper. I handed him one on his way out the studio, and boy, he loves it.
I've got to get down on my side a lot to polish rocker panels. I've got to get down and clean wheels pretty regularly, fender wells, that kind of thing. There's always tar and all kinds of other stuff on the side of the vehicles that I've got to get down there and degrease and clean. And whether you've got this Magic Creeper rolled up as something you can put your knees on or laid out where you can lay on it, it's awesome in lots of ways because it's comfortable. But what I've noticed is on my cold concrete garage floor, I'm not as uncomfortable as I would be without it. It's totally padded. And beyond that, just the cushion and the effortless sliding that takes place when you're pushing yourself back. The material is super slick where it allows you to move really freely and it doesn't take a lot of effort to use it. What I really love about this thing for my detailing rig is I can throw it anywhere. I can roll it up and it will just stuff anywhere I want it. It doesn't take any extra space up. I had changed the oil on my wife's car a couple of weeks ago, and a buddy of mine stopped by to drop a couple of things off for me, and he was like, "That's a really nice mat you're laying on." I was like, "Well, it's not just a mat." And then I explained it, and then he was like, "Where do I get it?" And I said, "They have a website. Check them out. Google it. Look around. This guy, I'm sure, will end up with one."
You can get the Magic Creeper at magiccreeper.com, and if you're not convinced, head over to Detailed Juice's website. Gary's done a YouTube video telling all about the Magic Creeper and how much he loves it. You know, there are a ton of additives for your car, for your engine, transmission, and that sort of thing. And it's hard to tell them apart, but Tribotex really stands out from the others. How so, Brian?
1, it will stay in your engine longer. 2, it will not break down any of your components like your catalytic converter. And 3, we don't use products that would be removed from fuel.
And what about the ingredients? I know some of them out there claim to be this magic elixir, but when you really break them down, they're not that special.
Yeah, those lubricants are often great in short-term applications in clean oil, but in long-term use, they can break down into corrosive materials.
Well, let's talk about moly, for instance. Molybdenum,
Disulfide.
It's very, very popular, and it has some good applications in the short term.
Molybdenum disulfide is a great lubricant. However, if it reacts with water and oxygen, it can make molybdenum trioxide, which is an abrasive, and sulfuric acid. It will dissolve it. So it not only makes an acid, but an abrasive. That's why it's really important to check your CV joints and your ball joints to see if the boots are cracked. If there is a crack, water can enter those areas and cause that molybdenum disulfide to break down.
What is it about Tribotex that makes it stay in the engine and on all the parts?
We work with the metal oxides and we will fuse to it, but we need to have extreme forces or pressures that are present in the engine at the surface level, at the friction. The particles are so small, it's like stepping on a needle. It will easily penetrate deep into the metal and force it and create this nice smooth surface that builds up.
Like stepping on a needle, it directs that force right there, but if you have an entire bed of nails,
exactly.
the force.
That's one reason why adding a little bit of Tribotex goes a lot longer than adding a ton of Tribotex. Don't squeeze a bunch of tubes in the engine because that won't help as much as a little bit.
And now Tribotex particles, as we've seen from some of the animations, and we've seen Pasha with the famous sticky notes.
Yeah.
Tell us how that works and how the particles cling to each other.
They have two different sides. It's called anisotropic, and it means one side is different than the other. One is sticky and one is slippery. What we use are these little particles that will fuse to the metal oxides. They react with it, but they're positively charged, so they repel each other. They are not like sticky as you would think of like a glue, but they're more like they can react with the metal surfaces if they are given enough force.
And so with particles like that sticking together, they can actually repair flaws in your old engine parts and protect your engine for a long, long time. You can check all of this out at Tribotex.com. More great products for your vehicle, and we come back to Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. Keep it right here.
Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings, is brought to you by Magic Creeper, the most versatile creeper ever. Clamp Tight, the clamp making tool. Tribotex, make your engine last longer. AP Laser, leading the way. And by Dragonfire Tools, industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage.
Workbenches from Dragonfire Tools are all about efficiency and how you can maximize the space that you have. Believe it or not, all of the tools you see here actually fit in one Dragonfire Tools workbench.
Whoa, Dave.
Sir.
One workbench, but only 6 drawers.
Are you kidding me?
No. All this will fit in 6 drawers in this workbench and still have 14 drawers left.
That is incredible. And what about the weight of all this stuff?
Our single rail drawers are rated for 200 pounds and our double rail drawers are rated for 400 pounds. And those double rail drawers are all gusseted on the bottom for strength and rigidity, and even the single railed wide drawers are gusseted.
What are some of the other measures you take to make sure these drawers are going to stand that kind of abuse?
The drawer bodies are made out of 16 gauge galvanized steel, which is plenty thick.
And then the tops as well, they can also take a beating too.
Yeah, so we have the 14 gauge 304 stainless steel tops on these, and they'll stand up to just about anything.
You've told the story about how you used to work from your toolbox and your workbench. Why was that so inefficient?
When you have a workbench and you have a stand-up toolbox, you're constantly walking back and forth to get the tools that you need for whatever job that you're doing on your workbench. And now your workbench is your toolbox. So from an efficiency standpoint, if I'm standing here working on something, all I have to do is reach down, open a drawer, grab the tool that I need, and get back to work.
If you're working at home, that's just a convenience thing. But if you're a professional in a shop, that means you're going to work more efficiently, and that translates to the bottom line.
Yeah, time is money in any automotive shop, you know that.
Whether you're working at home or you're a professional mechanic, get rid of all those toolboxes and go to one workbench by DragonfireTools.com. And by the way, when you go to the website, you're going to get a discount and free shipping if you enter the code Motorhead. Now here at the headquarters for NHOU Protective Coatings, it's a magnificent facility. We've got training area, we've got a laboratory, and Joe, thousands of vehicles go through here every year to get the undercoating they need, but really this started kind of selfishly for you with only one vehicle in mind.
Desperation. Yeah, I lost too many vehicles to rust, and I buy pickup trucks, they're $50,000, $60,000. I couldn't afford to keep doing it, and I would not take no for an answer, that there was nothing I could do. And I know that in my neighborhood, people were saving their vehicles through doing this thing, undercoating oil at night, and I knew it was effective.
How did you begin the research?
So what I did was I realized, how oil-based rust proofing works, and I found some products that were not engineered necessarily for that application, but they were close. And I didn't want to use the old school used motor oil because it was illegal and frankly wasn't good for the environment. So we found a chemist ultimately to make our own formula, because all the products that I used off the shelf were generic and they just didn't live up to my expectations. So ultimately we found this chemist who made our own products, engineered for the application.
What was the response from folks once you started doing it for other people?
It was incredible. We started out offering it to just friends and family, and before you know it, in a busy week, I would have people coming out to my garage in the middle of nowhere on a dirt road, traveling 2.5, 3 hours to get to us. And I realized just how pervasive rust was and the enormity of that problem, and realized that we were onto something. I had people business propositioning me all the time, hey, let's do this here, let's do this there. And it's kind of evolved into what it is today.
People love it because it's a great product and it works. And where can they find you?
NHOUundercoating.com.
Well, I hate to say it, but we are out of time for this week's edition of the show. But don't you worry, because we're going to do it once again next week. In the meantime, email Jeff@masterstv.com if you have a product you want to see on our show. We'll show it off here in the studio. Until then, we'll see you next time on Motorhead Garage, presented by NHOU Protective Coatings. Drive safely.